The invitation arrived in cream-colored paper, heavy, expensive. Her father's will reading, a formality. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. No calls, no letters, just the quiet, surgical way she vanished from my life. Yet when I entered the lawyer's office, I saw her, and him, a man I'd never met holding her hand. In the other arm, a sleeping newborn. She didn't flinch when our eyes met. She smiled, small, polite, as if I were an old neighbor she barely remembered. The air smelled faintly of leather and stale coffee. The curtains were drawn, trapping the shadows in the room. The lawyer shuffled papers, clearing his throat. I kept my face neutral, but my pulse had already changed. The child's features pulled at something in me, something ugly. Recognition and denial wrestling in the same breath. I should have turned around, walked out, but I sat. The lawyer began, voice flat, mechanical. The last wishes of a dead man. Bequests to cousins, charities, old business partners. And then, her name. "To my daughter," he read, "I leave the house, the vineyard, and the inheritance. On one condition." She leaned forward. Even the child stirred, as if sensing the weight in the air. The lawyer paused. His eyes moved from her to me. To receive these assets, my daughter must be present with her lawful husband and the rightful father of her child. The words rang wrong, off-key. The rightful father part hit like an unmarked blade between my ribs. Her fingers tightened around the man's hand. Not guilt, not fear, something closer to defiance. I looked at the child again, dark eyes, my eyes. I didn't confront her. I smiled at the end, shook the lawyer's hand, and left without a word. If they thought that meant surrender, they underestimated me. The weeks that followed were quiet, deliberate. I started with birth records, a discreet phone call to a contact at the registry, dates, locations, attending physician. Then came the paternity test, a small envelope sent anonymously to the man she now called her husband, not for him to open, but for me. I watched from across the street one night as they sat in their warm kitchen, passing the baby between them like some fragile trophy. She laughed. That same laugh she once gave me in bed, low, private, meant only for the man she thought she'd chosen. Inside me, the storm grew colder, not hotter. Rage wasn't useful. Cold made me sharper. The report arrived on a Tuesday, couriered, sealed. I opened it slowly, as if savoring a final meal. Probability of paternity, 99.98%. I waited until the will's second meeting, an addendum discussion. The same office, the same drawn curtains. This time I sat directly across from them. Before the lawyer could speak, I placed the envelope on the table. No words, just the sound of paper against polished wood. She looked at it, then at me, a flicker, a hairline crack in that mask of composure. Her husband, if he was even that, reached for it. He opened it, scanned the page, and froze. His eyes moved from the report, to the child, to her. The silence between them expanded, heavy enough to bend the air. "You knew?" he asked her, voice low. She didn't answer. I leaned back, hands folded, watching, measuring the exact moment the structure she built began to collapse. The lawyer tried to continue the meeting, but the man was already standing, holding the report like it was poison. He set the baby in her lap, abrupt, almost careless, and left the room without looking back. Her face hardened. No tears, no apology. "This doesn't change anything," she said, voice steady but thinner than before. "It changes everything," I replied, my tone surgical. "Your father's words were clear. Rightful father." She understood then. The house, the vineyard, the inheritance, all tied to me now, not her. I stood, slowly, the way a surgeon might after a successful operation, and as I passed her chair, I leaned down, just enough for her to hear the truth in my voice. You built your life on a lie. I just removed the foundation. I walked out without looking at the child again. The settlement arrived 3 months later. She kept none of the estate. The man never returned. The child, my child, would grow up far from her games. I didn't fight for custody. I didn't need to. Some poisons destroy themselves when left alone. At night, I sometimes thought of the look on her face in that office. Not when I entered, not when she saw the test, but the moment she realized I'd been silent all along, not out of ignorance, but patience. Patience is the sharpest blade. It cuts without warning. It leaves no scar the betrayer can hide. In the end, I didn't win her father's legacy. I inherited something far better. The quiet certainty that she'd never outrun what I left in her mind. And that was enough.